Peace, beautiful people. My name is Sylvester Pierce. I'm a full spectrum doula and a community breastfeeding specialist, which means that I work with families from preconception to postpartum. Sometimes we call that rooter to tutor. And I'm here today to make sure that we can support families through breastfeeding.
What's up, everybody? I'm Israel Root. I'm an entrepreneur, a holistic birth doula, and I also serve as a community transformer for Reaching Our Brothers Everywhere, also known as ROAD, where we support families by bringing them resources.
And today we're going to make sure that we let fathers know, especially the Black fathers in our community, that you are not on the sidelines when it comes to breastfeeding. Yes, mom is the one who's going to be feeding the baby, but we want to talk to you, the granddads, the dads, the boyfriends, anyone who has helped create that baby. We're going to talk to you today about supporting mom and making sure baby's getting fed.
And just like you, I'm still learning and growing because I'm also a new father.
Congrats on that, brother.
I appreciate it. Also, a lot of times we think breastfeeding is just a mom thing, and that has nothing to do with us or you. But we're here to let you know it's a team thing, and you have to be supportive.
So to what you were saying, we need to let families know that this is a team effort. If you're in a household with mom, you're going to be supporting and breastfeeding. There is no sideline stuff going on. And we had talked about this a little bit off camera earlier, that this is a household project. Everyone's going to be involved. And dad should know that they're just as important in this role, or better yet, know their importance in this role.
For sure. It's a huge impact shown when fathers are present, that mothers are more likely to start breastfeeding, but also they're more likely to breastfeed longer.
And in one of the classes I took, they were saying that dads showing up, being supportive is the number one way. Like of all the things that's going on, if dad is there, it's going to be a healthier feed, it's going to be a longer feed. But dads aren't there because of the barriers that we have. Sometimes it's a financial barrier. I know in my community, they were saying that if you were breastfeeding, that meant you were poor because you couldn't afford all the supplements. Or it's a woman's job to do it, so dads weren't there to support at all. Sometimes it was a sexual thing, where no one should be around while this is happening. So mom was doing it in isolation because it wasn't really encouraged. But then the part with Black families especially was this nanny or milkmaid, where, well, if you breastfeed, you only do that because you're taking care of master's kids or something along those lines. A bunch of ignorance, a bunch of misinformation, but a bunch of stories that keep being told over and over. And that's where fathers get to step in and say, nah, we ain't dealing with that no more. We're going to support and we're going to make sure it stays healthy.
That's right. And that's, the more you know. You don't have to know everything. You don't really have to know anything. You just need to, be present.
Show up.
Be supportive and be patient, because it's going to be some things that you're going to have to work through. But as long as you're there to support, like we said, it's a team effort. Let's be honest. A lot of people don't know what to expect when it comes to breastfeeding, especially men. And it can be very time consuming. A baby can eat every 2-3 hours. Sometimes every hour, and it seems like the baby is always eating.
Right. And then when we're leaving the hospital, sometimes they'll say, they give you these time frames of when baby's going to eat, and they get home and be like, they're doing a lot more than they should be. That's called cluster feeding, and it's babies eating when baby's hungry. Babies also adjusting to mom, and mom's adjusting to baby to see how often they should be eating. So that's one of the things that happens that you don't expect because you don't know to expect it.
Yeah, and during this time, things going to be very different. Mom will be a little emotional. The baby is taken from her. But got to be there to support. I kind of.
You been there?
I've been there.
Yo, man. So with that not knowing to expect and that emotional part, that's also a time where we got to remind dads, this is still mom's body. And she's having to share her body with someone to keep them alive. That's not always translated when dad wants his time with mom, or mom's trying to figure out, should I allow my breast to be touched by my partner? Should I feel weird about this? Or sometimes dad might be feeling, well, is this breastfeeding thing messing with something that's going to, mess us up later on down the line. So those are some of the conversations that need to be had. But again, these are expectations that need to be put into what's going on with this whole lactation process. But it's still hard talking about expectations because all of that goes out the window for a quick minute when that baby get here and they want to get fed and mama's feeling a certain way. What are your expectations? What's really happening in your world? What you've experienced?
I've experienced that breastfeeding is a lot. It's you have to be patient. It's rewarding, and it's also very necessary. I know for myself, I developed a lot of anxiety to help my partner because I wanted it to work, because I know how much she wanted it to work for the baby, because we know that's the best thing for the baby.
True.
You know, so just being there to support in any way that I could to facilitate that piece of, you know, our relationship. That was my main goal. You know, it's a lot that comes with it because, you know, breastfeeding, it takes a lot of time. You know, 2-3 hours at a time. The baby has to eat. You know, sometimes every hour.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this baby eats a lot. You know what I'm saying?
And then sometimes I know, like I had a family, they were worried about the cluster feeding because, you know, I told them about that 1 or 2 hours and the doctors told them everything. But then baby was just, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And they got kind of nervous. Did you ever experience cluster feeding?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because, you know, I found out through the courses that I was taking that, and also, you know, from Rose, I also found that the baby feeding more frequently helps the mother's body, you know, get to learn how much milk to make. You know, but also to that effect, this is when the fathers can come in because the baby is eating a lot. You know, mom could be more tired, more emotional, you know, and you come in, you have to check on them. You have to be supportive because, you know, during that time, you don't know what to expect.
So that was one, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's one of the parts that I get phone calls on later on. And it's usually from the father because mom may look at that as her special time with baby, where she only wants to be with baby. So he's on the side like, you know, let me leave y'all alone. But then when that emotional side kicks in as well, she's like, I want you here. So he's trying to navigate, when am I there, when am I not? While she's trying to navigate, how do I feed this new being? Am I doing this right? So dad's being there at those visits, at the doctor's appointments, dad's making those calls to the consultants are where those times when mom is just going off of instinct and moving, dad can be the reminder sometimes, and that little small nudge when she's feeling like I'm not doing this right, that nah, I really am. And reminding her, your body was made for this. This is your body and you're doing it. My body is here to help you and help y'all. So let's all get this thing moving together. All right, so we went over that support has to be there, and we keep saying support. What is that support? How can you do it? First things first, we know baby needs to get fed. So bring baby to mom so she can actually be fed. After baby finishes eating, baby needs to get burped. So feeding the baby, burping the baby, changing the diapers, and then taking the baby away so mom can rest. Rest is paramount. And mom needs to do that so she can go through the healing she needs to go through. Then we can make sure that the family and other outside forces ain't overwhelming her too much. So do what we can to be that barrier, that buffer between everyone else trying to see the baby and move around, all those things. We got to make those appointments. We got to make sure mom gets fed. So when after those feedings while you're at home, get lactation, not lactation, but hydration is needed. And we want to get warm foods to mom. When I talked about the appointments, go with her because you've been taking notes. You see things that she's not seeing. You're hearing the things that she's saying, even in passing sometimes. And once you get into that doctor's office and they start asking questions, she may not remember everything. So the things that she's not remembering, you can fill in for. And you mentioned earlier about advocating for mom. So when doctor starts asking too many questions, when the doula starts asking questions and you're like, look, man, give her a minute to breathe. That's your time to step in and help out as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And stepping in to protect her, mentally and emotionally. Because during that time, a lot's going on.
Yeah.
A lot's changing with her. And postpartum is real. So you have to be there to advocate, to step in to check on her. And your words matter a lot at that time because her hormones are changing, her body is healing. She's having to feed the baby around the clock. So that's a lot. So to navigate that, you need to be there to reassure her that she's doing a great job, and that she's doing well, the baby is doing well, continue to support her in that.
And I'm glad you said it. So we know, working in the field, that there's a difference between postpartum and postpartum depression. They get used interchangeably. If you've had a baby, you're going through postpartum. That's from the time baby is born straight on. That era goes on forever. Postpartum depression is a different thing. It's one of those hormonal imbalances sometimes, which basically affects mom, and it's part of the depression that comes after giving birth to the baby, which going to those doctor visits with her, you can help address. But still, not to be confused with baby blues, not to be confused with just frustration. So making sure when we make those appointments, we're talking about the whole space. Like you said, the protection that we're providing and advocating for mom.
Well, let's talk about some things we want to avoid, like things we don't want to say.
All right.
Because, a lot of times we're trying to help, but it comes out, a little different. So things like, this is taking too long, or that baby's still hungry, and how about, won't you just give the baby a bottle?
That's a big one.
The worst. And it's not worse than, my mom said you should do.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna cause a problem. And those words, they can be discouraging. Even though we're just trying to help, but let's avoid those.
Avoid them. And you had said earlier, I keep going back to the stuff you said because it's all been on point, that these words have a lot of weight. So just like you had those words that can be discouraging, the best way we can do that, and I've learned this as a doula, is to start with, how can I help? That way we're not telling them what they should be doing. We're taking the information from them, processing it better, reminding them that they're beautiful because the body is changing. And I'm still looking at you. You're still sexy. I still love you. We are still in this together. So remind them that they're amazing. I'm proud of you. You're a great mom. And you said earlier that saying words through this postpartum period, they linger. Saying those affirmation words and those beautiful words, they linger too, because they're gonna need to remember.
Mean a lot.
Yeah.
Some men don't know what their role is during breastfeeding, or even how they can help. Because a lot of fathers, a lot of men feel like, oh well, the baby only wants mom right now. No, what am I supposed to do?
So with that bonding period comes with, it starts before that breastfeeding even happens. It starts while you're in the womb, because mom's constantly touching the belly, constantly talking to it. But when dad's around and he's talking, baby can hear that as well. So baby's here, we want to do as much holding as we can. So you're holding baby more, you're getting your skin to skin contact, you're getting your time when you can put baby to sleep. Anybody who's had a baby know that you're gonna be changing diapers. And all them diapers ain't always the cleanest ones. So you might be washing up more than you usually do. So washing baby, talking to baby, and getting baby out of the room, sometimes out of the house, going for a walk with them. Once they're old enough, moving out more, giving mom that time to rest. Those are some of the best times that you can bond with your child. Something else, since we're talking just about breastfeeding, is helping mom with hand expression, because not getting enough milk out can lead to infection. It can lead to mastitis. All that milk can fill up and it just hurts. So getting that time to help mom do the massages up under the arm, moving down toward the nipple, helping get that hand expression going, gives you a little bit of time to bond with her as well, because y'all haven't been touching each other as much. So you can get back into that rhythm of things too.
Man, those are some good things to use, because a lot of times men and fathers don't know what their job is or how they can help during breastfeeding. Those are some really good things that they can apply and really do. And to know that, you're not babysitting, you're parenting. That's part of the team. You're part of the team. So those are some of the things, those are some great things that you said that, men could do to
Play
feel
your
a part.
part.
Play your part.
Yeah,
For sure.
for real.
Black men, you are appreciated, you are needed, and you are valued. We value your voice, we value your presence, and we value your support. And too often, when we're having conversations about pregnancy, about birth, about breastfeeding, you're not included. We're making sure that you are included. We want you to include yourself. Step into those rooms and make your presence felt, and know that we want you there and we need you there.
And please know, your job is not to know everything, but your role is to be present, be supportive, be involved, and to be patient.
You are not on the sidelines. You are important, and you should be needed here to do this breastfeeding work.
And to all the dads watching this, you matter. Your support matters, and your presence matters more than you know.
Welcome to fatherhood. You have our support through this journey. We would like to thank Project Hope and Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies Coalition of Georgia for letting us sit down and have this conversation. For more information, please go to HMHBGA.org.